Hello, class. So this is our simplex method answers for your seat work regarding the garden shed and the ready mix problem. So I'm going to share my screen. So, all right, here. So I have prepared an Excel file for that so that you can easily check now if we have correctly computed or calculated, especially on the iteration part in the Gauss Jordan. So I'm just going to use Excel for faster computations compared to doing it manually. Okay, so this is your problem. A small firm builds two types of garden shed. Garden shed one will require 2 hours machine time and 5 hours craftsman time. So obviously you have two constraints here, the machine time and the craftsman time. While garden shed 2 requires 3 hours of machine time and 5 hours of craftsman time. Now each day there are 30 hours of machine time available and 60 hours of craftsman time. The profit one each garden shed one is 60 pounds and on each garden shed 2 is 84 pounds. Now you have to formulate the linear programming model and use simplex method to answer. Okay, so the first step to answering a linear programming model is making its LP model first. So we formulate the LP model first. So the goal is to maximize profit, where profit is Z. Okay, and the formula is 60 pounds for every garden shed one. Let's name garden shed one as your X1 or X or Y, no? Either of the two, pwede rin na siya. And 84 pounds for 84 pounds for Y. Okay, so that's your formula for the LP model. Subject to the following constraints with regards to the craftsman time and the machine time. I think machine time should be first. And then craftsman time. Now, to easily compute for or create your Tableau, I would highly suggest you somehow create your table first. No? So we have the garden shed one, which is your X, and your garden shed 2, which is your Y. Okay? All right. Now, in making the values, no, to help you summarize, for machine time with okay, for the machine time of garden shed 1, that's 2 hours and 5 hours craftsman time. While for garden shed 2, that requires 3 hours, 3 hours of machine time and 5 hours of craftsman time. And availability is here. The availability should be here as your right-hand side. The availability is 30 hours of machine time and 60 hours of craftsman time. So basically, if that's availability, automatically, what you're going to do is it's less than or equal to, okay? And of course, don't forget your non-negativity constraint. So let's translate them into a mathematical formula, no? So that means 2x plus 3y less than or equal to 30. That's for your first constraint. And then for your craftsman time constraint, we have the 5x plus 5y less than or equal to 60. Okay? And then of course your negativity constraint should be greater than or equal to 0. Now, the rule of simplex is to translate everything into equality. And remember the rule, if the sign is less than or equal to, we add slack variable. And if it's greater than or equal to, we subtract the surplus variable. Okay? So same rules apply. So in here, this becomes, so translate, no? Translate. This becomes 2x plus 3y. Since that's less than or equal to, you will add a slack variable. For the first constraint, we call that S1. Then it will now become equals 30. So we're turning them into equalities. Then for the second constraint, which is the craftsman time, that's 5x plus 5y, still add, but this time surplus 2 na siya, equals 60. And your non-negativity constraint already includes your surplus variables. And of course, don't forget to translate as well your objective function. So for your objective function, that's all values, all right-hand side should be, okay, I'll transfer this for the rules. All right-hand side should be integers. Okay, therefore we will move the 60x and 84y to the left-hand side. So that becomes z minus 60x minus 84y equals 0. That is now your new objective function. Okay, because we will be translating that into Tableau. So we will now make the initial Tableau. So for the initial Tableau, that's all the initial solutions, okay, are the surplus variables. So the rule here is all initial solutions should be the artificial variables. So in your case, you have two artificial variables. We have the S1 and S2. And you write the other variables, X, Y, S1, S2, and of course, your right-hand side. Okay, so I think I'm gonna transfer it here so that they have the same. Okay, this is your initial Tableau. All right. Now, of course, don't forget your Z. Okay, so we put in the coefficients for the table first. So coefficients, guys, you just write your coefficients from this, no? This is your new LP models now, the translated versions into equalities. So this is 2. So for the first constraint in the S1 row, we have 2, 3, 1. The coefficient of S1 is 1. There is no S2. And your right-hand side is 30. For S2, that's 5. 5. Is that 5? Machine time requires 3 hours ba yan eh? Tama, tama. And the craftsman time is 5. Okay. 5, 5. And then there's no S1. And then we have 1 for the coefficient of the second artificial variable. And the right-hand side is 60. Then you look at the 0, that's negative 60, negative 84. Okay, by the way, please include always the artificial variables in the translated objective function, but it will not take any profit because they are just artificial variables. So they will have the value 0 for their coefficients. Okay, that's why the coefficient there is 0. So that is now your initial Tableau. Okay. Now, for the second Tableau, we will now start the iterations. Okay, so for the iterations in the second Tableau, we can just copy it. Okay, and then we will delete all the values first. Now, let's choose the pivot column. The pivot column is the most negative. Okay, so which one is the most negative? By the way, you will stop the iteration if the zeros are all positive. All right, so you will only stop the iteration if all the zeros are positive. So in that case, since negative 60 and negative 84, it's still negative, so you're not yet done with your computation. So let's now start with the pivot column, the most negative. So in this case, the most negative is Y. Okay, the next thing we have to find is the pivot row. So the pivot row is the least minimum ratio least minimum ratio of the right-hand side divided by the pivot column coefficient. So in this case, the pivot column coefficient for the first row is 3. So we will just divide 30 by 3. Okay? And then, which one is the most minimum ratio or the least minimum ratio? The answer is 10. So therefore, this is your pivot row. Now, the pivot element is the intersection of the pivot row and pivot column, wherein in this case, it's actually 3. So your pivot column is 3. Okay? Now, after that, you will have to compute now your new rows. So, a new pivot row first. So, since your pivot row is this one, new pivot row is equal to the cell value in that row, okay, divided by the pivot element. So, in short, 2 divided by 3. And then we have 3 divided by itself, okay, so on and so forth. So we can actually program that into Fn F4. We fix the pivot element so that we can just drag the values, right? So obviously, your minimum ratio there should also be the right-hand side in the second tableau. Now, for the new rows, meaning the other rows, to compute for that is the cell value on that row minus its pivot column coefficient times the new pivot row. So in that case, the cell value, which is 5, minus your pivot column coefficient, which is 5 in the Y, okay? Then we multiply that to the new row, which is the 0.6667. So that's now 1.667, okay? You can actually program that because the moving item is for the pivot column coefficient, the column is not gonna move. So you will provide as dollar sign to the column, which is the K. And for the new rows, one thing that's moving in the new rows are the columns. So the row is fixed. So we will provide a dollar sign for the 28, no? So if we do this in Excel, it's easy. But if we do it manually, sometimes there's a possibility for error. So your clue, guys, is that the other values in the pivot column will always be 0. And the pivot element will always be 1 because it's divided by itself. So if you come to think of it, so we have programmed it right, no? So if you want to do it manually, again, cell value minus its pivot column coefficient times the new row, which is 0.6667. Okay? So we can just drag this down because that's already programmed. So if you will do it again, so the program is correct. Now, in this case, since this is Gauss-Jordan iteration, that means we will repeat again the same process. So in that case, we will now find the new row again. Now, are we stopping yet? Because there is still a negative value. By the way, before I forget, in your second tableau, whichever is the pivot column should be the new entering variable here. They will just have an exchange of places. Now, I forgot to inform you that. So, whoever is the pivot column, that will be the new entering variable. It will now go into the solution side. And then, the artificial variable will replace the column. Okay? So, that is what we're gonna do again for the third tableau. So, for the third tableau, we will just repeat the same process. So we will find the most negative value, which is obviously only one left. That's x. So x now is the entering variable. And let's get again the minimum ratio. So right-hand side divided by the pivot column coefficients, we have 15 and 6. So obviously, this is now the new entering variable in your third tableau. So x will now come inside here in the initial solutions, and the second artificial variable will go outside or will replace the column. Then in that case, we will compute for the new rows, which is the second row this time. So again, same rule. Cell value divided by the pivot column coefficient. We can fix that, F and F4. Then it's obviously always 1. Then we will compute again. The minimum ratio is also the right-hand side in the next part of the tableau. Then for the new rows, same rule. We have the cell value minus its pivot column coefficient, wherein the moving is, the fix rather is the column. And then we multiply that to the new rows, which is this one, wherein the fixed one is the row. So only the dollar sign goes to the row. Then, of course, if the answer is 0, then your program is correct. Then let's just copy the formula to the other side. Hopefully, there's no more negative value in the 0. That's why we will now stop the iteration. And the final answer is you have to produce 6 garden shed 2 because that's y, right? So 6 garden shed y and another 6 garden shed 1 with a profit of 864. Profit 864 pounds. Okay? That's how easy it is. No, only 3 iterations. Now, if you want to check if your answer is correct using Excel Solver, we can also do that. So, let's just create the program. So, for the profit, that's that's 60 pounds and 84. And then let's just use here. Okay, wait. Let me move it para it has a lot of space. So this is for garden shed 1. So whatever value goes out here should be the answer. Okay, I will highlight that one. Sorry, this is in pounds. And then the profit will be a product of the 2, right? Okay, so that's the profit. It will be depending on the values that will be showed by solver in garden shed 1 and garden shed 2. So that's your profit. Now, for the constraints, no? So we have the machine time and the craftsman time, and then we can just copy the coefficients, no, that we did in the previous table. So, or in from this table, no? So we can use that, 2, 3. That's already for garden shed 1 and garden shed 2. This is the actual values, your symbol, and your right-hand side. So we can just copy the right-hand side, and based on our initial LP model, that's less than or equal to the symbol, no? And then for the actual values, we can do sum product, right? Sum product of this one and whatever is the answer in your garden shed 1, depending on whatever will be provided by the Excel solver. So we can do F and F4 on that. We can fix that so that it will be copied by the second part. Okay, so sum product, no, fix answers on the garden shed. So after that, we can now compute for using solver. So you go to data. Okay, let's go to data and then you go to solver. By the way, if you don't have solver, you can actually download it here in the file for a while. Let me just show. You can download it here in home. And then, no, sorry, not in home. You can download here in, it's not, I'm not really familiar with Excel in MacBook, but um, in Windows, you can just go to File and then add Solver. But in here, I already downloaded it before. I forgot how I did that. I think it's in the analysis tools, and then I just added Solver add-in. Yeah. So for MacBooks, analysis tool pack, and then Solver add-in, you just add those two tools. But for Windows, you will have to go to File, and then you go to Excel Solver add-in. No? So in this case, you already have Solver add-in. So your objective is your maximize profit, which we already computed a while ago. So the one in orange. Maximize profit. So you click the maximize. My changing variables are the ones in green. Okay, because that will be depending on the values that will be shown by solver. And then of course your constraints, since they have the same symbol, you can just copy two. Symbol is already correct. And then highlight also the right hand side. You must also make sure that your answers are greater than or equal to 0 because they should be positive values. And your answer should also be integers because that's Garden Shed 1 and Garden Shed 2. You don't produce 1.667, 2.667 answers, no? So it should be in integers or whole numbers. Then please change this to simplex LP and then solve. So if there's no error, meaning to say you have computed it well, therefore, the answer is 6, 6, and 864, which is actually the same with our answer in simplex method. Okay? So that's for our answer in number 1. I will make another video for number 2. Bye!